I never once imagined that I would go from being a productive member of the human race to a decrepit old drone sitting at the club at 3 in the afternoon drinking brandy and playing cards.
Oh, Dad.
Suddenly, I realized what it feels like to be obsolete.
Richard Gilmore is a patriarch in the truest sense. He's the provider, the authority, and the man with a plan. But the more I got to know him, the more I noticed something. That underneath all of that, Richard didn't really seem to have anyone to talk to. Lorelai has Rory and Suki, Rory has Lane and sometimes Paris, and Emily has her social circles, and sometimes she even has Lorelai to talk to. Richard knows people too, of course, but most of those connections are connected to work or obligation. He has people around him, but not many people he can fully be open with. And I think that loneliness shapes almost everything he does in the show. Welcome to another episode of Pexposure. I'm Pecky, and I love to psychoanalyze myself through the characters I watch in film and TV. So if you find yourself relating a little too deeply to fictional people, this channel might be for you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my episodes. In season 1, Emily is pushing Richard to take Rory golfing, and you can see how uncomfortable that makes him.
He could teach you to play like a pro.
Emily.
Because for Richard, golf is something you do with colleagues. It's where you talk shop and make deals. But once Rory meets him inside that world, he slowly starts to soften. Throughout the day, you can see how happy it makes him to spend time with someone just for the company. Almost like this is something he doesn't really let himself do very often.
And then if you like, we can get some lunch?
That'd be great.
Fine.
Cool.
Yes.
That's part of what makes their relationship so sweet. The thing is, Richard only seems to know how to connect with people through business. We see it when Lorelai helps him with his new business. You can tell he's not just enjoying the work, he's enjoying spending time with her.
I'd strongly recommend a stapler.
Stapler.
Some extra staples.
I'm way ahead of you.
Good man.
Richard can be warm, curious, and affectionate, but a lot of the time, he needs a structure to access that part of himself. He loves Lorelai, but he doesn't always know how to reach her emotionally.
I see that you hired Karen.
Yes, well, I had to get someone in here.
Seems to be working out well.
She's no Margie, but we'll see.
Emily, damn it, I am being phased out.
You are not.
What do you mean I'm not? I know whether I'm being phased out. I invented phased out for this company.
For Richard, work is where he feels useful. It's where he feels respected and knows exactly who he is. So when that starts being taken away from him, he doesn't really know what to do with himself. And what makes it worse is that he doesn't seem to have anyone who fully understands what's happening to him at the company. Even Emily doesn't really get it.
Do you know what I'm going through at work? I have told you what I'm going through, but somehow you just don't seem to hear it. You don't listen to me. You don't listen to anybody.
I think Emily does care, but I think she sees it more as work drama, or maybe just his pride being wounded. We see Richard is fed up and shut down. It's interesting when Lorelai goes to visit Emily and offers to be there if she needs someone to talk to.
All right.
It's a sweet moment for Lorelai and Emily, but I can't help but think about Richard. He's the one whose career seems to be falling apart in that episode, and he still somehow ends up emotionally alone in it. Just a quick editor's note, I'm not saying Lorelai shouldn't have gone to see Emily. Emily needed someone too, and Richard is honestly pretty mean to her throughout this whole episode. I just think it's interesting that even in an episode about Richard's crisis, the emotional care still moves around him instead of directly toward him. He stays alone because partly no one knows how to reach him, and partly because he doesn't make himself easy to reach. So I just wanted to add that in. And then when he finally does retire, he has no idea what to do with himself.
Yes, well, I can go to the meeting with you.
You want to go to my meeting of the Daughters of the American Revolution?
Well, yes.
His whole world was work and Emily. Take work away and it's just Emily. The separation of Emily and Richard is also one of the best examples. There's a really telling moment where Emily is completely thrown by Richard going out at 7:30 at night.
Where was your father going at 7:30 at night?
Well, maybe he had a business meeting.
At 7:30 at night?
And sure, Emily tends to fixate and overreact. That's just her nature. But what's funny about it is that she genuinely has no idea where he could be going. Even the people closest to him can't imagine where Richard would go if it wasn't business.
Well, maybe he had a business meeting.
There's no friend group to assume, no social life that anyone can immediately picture, and then he has this lunch with Rory.
Actually, I've had a personal triumph of late. I've just finished the 6th and final volume of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I am going to be in the Chicago office. I'm traveling much less, but I don't miss it. 30 years ago, any chance I had to travel, I jumped at. But now, I'm talking a lot, aren't I?
He knows he's talking too much, but he also can't really stop himself because he hasn't had anyone to really talk to. It exposes how small his life is without Emily. Even at parties and social gatherings, Richard often seems slightly removed from the room. He's either talking about work, using business as a way to participate, or he's off by himself.
You were at the same meeting as I was. What are you
Hey,
talking
Grandpa.
Rory!
At Rory's birthday party in Stars Hollow, he's there, but he's not fully participating.
Rory! What a lovely party.
I brought you something too.
He doesn't really know how to blend into that kind of casual, emotionally open environment. Okay, let's talk about Penelon Lot.
We've been having lunch once a year for many years. It's just a little tradition.
Every year since when?
Every year since we got married.
I'm not here to defend Richard having secret lunches with his ex-fiancée and keeping Emily in the dark for years. It's shady. Even if nothing romantic happened, the secrecy itself is the problem. But through the lens of this essay, I do think we can read it a little differently. The show wants us to believe nothing happened between them.
I know, it was wrong, but I'm sure Dad just didn't want to get you upset. But it was just lunch.
And I'll take that at face value.
Sure, Jan.
So then the question becomes, what was it exactly? Maybe Penelon was someone Richard could actually talk to, someone outside the family and work. And I think he kept it secret because he knew exactly how it would look. He knew how humiliating it would be for Emily to find out that he had been meeting with his ex-fiancée for lunch for all these years. Even if it really was just innocent, it would still make Emily feel like there was a part of him she didn't have access to.
Penelon and I are just friends. We just wanted to keep track of each other. That was it.
No spouse can be every single kind of emotional outlet, and Richard doesn't seem to have built many honest friendships outside the marriage. Sometimes we do need friends who aren't our spouses. That part isn't wrong. The problem is that Richard didn't seem to have that anywhere else, so it all fell into this one secret relationship with the woman he used to be engaged to. Penelon becomes this strange little compartment in Richard's life. Something he doesn't have to explain because he has decided it belongs in a different box. But you can't really build emotional intimacy that way, not without it eventually hurting someone. Emily knows everything, or at least she thinks she does. She knows his schedule, his routines, and the way their world is supposed to function. And then suddenly, she finds out that Richard has been keeping this private connection alive for years. It reveals that even in his closest relationship, Richard still had locked rooms. There's also something worth exploring about Lorelai getting pregnant and moving out. Because when something shameful happens in a family, sometimes people pull away from you, but sometimes you also pull away from the world without realizing it.
I had to tell my friends, my colleagues, that my only daughter, the brightest in her class, was pregnant and was leaving school.
That must have been devastating.
It's possible that Richard had more people in his circle before that happened. Maybe he was more socially open and had more casual friendships. But I do wonder if the shame of Lorelai's pregnancy and leaving home closed some doors he never really reopened because he started retreating into the same places where he still felt competent and respected. Maybe part of it is that Richard built a life around the places where he knew how to function and avoided the places where he felt exposed. Sometimes you can find your connections are only professional or familial, and sometimes you can't fully open up in those relationships. And I think that becomes even more true as you get older because after a while, your world can get really small. His life starts to revolve around work, family, errands, obligations, and the few people already in your orbit. And I think that may have happened to Richard too. And I don't think that's entirely his fault. When work takes up that much of your life, it's easy to let everything else fall away without realizing it. I don't think Richard is lonely because nobody loves him. He's lonely because love for him is always tangled up with respect, family, business, reputation, and his role in people's lives. And when you live that way for long enough, it gets harder and harder to know who you are when no one needs anything from you. Thanks so much for watching. If any of this resonated with you, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. If you have thoughts on Richard or a character you'd love me to psychoanalyze next, drop it in the comments below and I'd love to know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!